got myself all ready to go check out downtown Tirana, maybe even Duras, to get a feel for the areas I wanted to get an apartment. I have a lot of people reaching out to me saying they have apartments available, but I don't have a car, so I'm depending on bus transportation. The difference of what makes it easier in Italy as opposed to the problem I'm having now in Albania is that in Italy, I had an app where I could pay for my ticket and I would just get on the bus and show the code, right? In Albania, you have to have the lex, their currency of 60 cents or 40 cents or whatever the bus is. That's a little bit of a problem for me because everybody told me when I came here to have American dollars. They love American dollars, and that's not proving to be the case. So I took out a lot of the money that I planned on spending in American dollars, and now I don't know where to go to get that turned into lek without it costing me more money. And they want exact change. So that's part one of the reason why I haven't left and I didn't go do what I wanted to do today. Part two is about what happened in Italy today. Part two is the Constitutional Court in Italy today came back with a decision on a case that the judges in Bologna, Florence, and Rome had brought before. And that case was simply, they did not believe that some people should be able to go back multiple generations without showing that they had any ties to Italy for their jus sanguinis case. And essentially the Constitutional Court said, yeah, you didn't bring your case. Like, what the law was when they applied for jus sanguinis is the law that applies. And so therefore their cases were essentially dismissed. A lot of people had been hoping that they would touch on this decree law that happened in March, and they didn't. But they did leave a couple of Easter eggs in my mind as I read it, as the AI had told me what they said. And the Easter eggs were this: we are not here to create laws. We are here to decide if laws are constitutional or not. And so if you're going to bring a case to us regarding the constitutionality of it, it needs to have a solid argument about how your rights were violated. And I think the reason that they did this is partially because the attorneys that got up in front of the court were very passionate and really wanted to bring in this decree that happened in March to get sort of a feel for how the Constitutional Court would decide on whether or not retroactivity is legal, meaning you can't just say, as of today, you no longer have the rights that you had yesterday. And basically the Constitutional Court said, you know, that's not what these original cases were about, and so we're not having it. The Easter egg was bring solid evidence that your constitutional rights were affected. And there is another case that is in front of them that is just exactly about that, about retroactivity. Now again, I'm not an attorney, I can only speak to my case, so I will tell you that every single law, and they cited different laws from the 1800s, the 1900s, 1980, whatever, 1912, and 1850, whatever. They cited those laws individually. And based on all of those laws, come March 28th or 29th, I was eligible to apply for my citizenship in Italy. Come March 30th, I no longer was eligible. However, I had already gotten everything I needed with the exception of one document. And that one document was my grandfather's birth certificate in New York City. And that's where the constitutionality and the Constitutional Court would come into play for my case specifically. And that is, it was red tape and bureaucracy that prevented me from being able to establish my rights as an Italian citizen thanks to jus sanguinis. March 26th, I had every right to assume that my citizenship claim would be processed and would go through. And then the very next day, Parliament decided that was no longer the case. So hopefully the case that is before the court coming up out of Torino has exactly that type of situation. And so while we all wanted the Constitutional Court to rule on the constitutionality of that decree today, that did not happen, and that should have probably been expected. But now it's almost 5 o'clock at night after I went through figuring all of that out, and so it's another day where I have not gone to Tirana, and this is another reason why being in downtown would have been better for me rather than on the outskirts of downtown. What is this, day 3 or day 4 of me in Albania? I'll get there. I'm gonna get there tomorrow, maybe tomorrow.